Hello, good morning everybody, and welcome to another video. It doesn't really seem like a year since we were last doing this. We've come back up to Big Moor this week, just about 3 or 4 miles from the outskirts of Sheffield in the Peak District, and we're here hoping to get some images of the red deer up here that obviously, because it's now October, it's the start of the rut, and we are a little bit earlier this year than we were last year. I think we just caught the end of it because I explained, and I think if you watch the last video I did, which I'll put a link up to, you'll see that I didn't know anything about this place until quite late last year, and so we only caught the end of the deer rut, but it's proved to be a fantastic place because we were in sort of semi-lockdown. We were just actually coming out of lockdown. We hadn't been able to travel anywhere, so there was no chance of getting to the normal places that you associate with the deer rut, like up in Scotland, etc. So this was a nice surprise to be able to come out here and photograph the deer, rather than going to somewhere like Bradgate Park or Woollerton Park, where the deer are park deer, if you like. These are completely wild and roam around the Peak District and then meet up on Big Moor at the rut every year for the rut. So I don't know whether you're picking that up on my microphone. You might not be, but we've actually got deer all round us on both sides of the path. It's a little bit dark at the minute. We've got here really early. I don't think the sun might be just rising actually, so we're hoping for some nice light, and yeah, just to try and get some deer images. But last year they were all on the left side of the path here, but we're getting them from both sides at the minute, so whether they're still a little bit spread out, they've not all come together, I don't know, but we'll see what we can find, and hopefully when the sun comes up a little bit more, or at all, we'll be able to get some images. But yeah, the noise is absolutely everywhere. It's echoing around this little valley here. Anyway, I'll catch up with you in a bit. Right, I just thought I'd give you an update. We've come across to where we did last year, and what we were finding last year is all the deer were congregating in one particular spot on the top here, and you'd got various groups, but they were all within, you know, probably 500 or 600 metres. What we're finding today is we've got deer all round us. There's a big male across on the other banking over there, the other side of this valley. We've got a female in front of her on her own. We've just been filming her. As I say, you probably can't hear on this microphone, but we've got deer shouting over here. So yeah, there's a massive male over there we've tried to take some pictures of, but it's more in silhouette because the sun's actually coming up behind him. We've come up this side because we were thinking that the sun's going to come up over there and the deer over this side, so we'd get some nice golden light on the deer as it came up. So yeah, it's a bit frantic actually. It's really difficult to know where to turn, so I think we're going to head a little bit further up onto the top here and try and keep out of the way. We are on a path, so this is a path. I don't know whether you can see, there's a big stone pillar here that says to Sheffield. So yeah, we're going to head up here a little bit further, see if we can get hunkered down somewhere probably, and you know, if it's a case of doing more of a wandering job today, and I think it's a case of just wandering on the paths, and you will bump into deer. They're all over the place. Probably early in the rut more what they're doing is just shouting across at each other, and they've not really come together in a big group, and that period where they clash and come together and start fighting is, you know, they're just at the shouting stage at the minute, and they're calling across at each other and sort of weighing each other up. So Big Moor's, as its name says, is quite a big area, so they've all staked their claim to various areas and they're just shouting across to each other. So, but it is fascinating. It is fascinating. You don't really know where to turn next. So I think me and Leia will head a little bit further up and see where it takes us from there. I'll catch up with you in a bit. Right, I'm not sure whether you can hear, we've got deer virtually all the way in front of us. There's none behind us. That's the reason we've come up from that direction, and I have to say it's probably been one of the worst routes I've ever walked on, or slid, slide, climbed, fallen, sunk on, to be fair. You start to realise there's a reason why there's no deer in that area when you're coming up it. The fact that, you know, a deer would completely disappear. We're going to have to find a different route down, but it was just, that area just seemed, you know, we're not going to disturb the deer. We've got loads of deer in front of us. We can't really get any closer because we've got open sort of grassland now, but they are making their way towards one another. So we're going to just hunker down here. I think the wind's got up a bit. I hope you can see this video because I'm struggling with the direction of the sun at the minute. It's just very, very bright, so I'm not sure how to sort of film this and not get some massive contrast. What we're going to do now is just stay here and hope that the deer come closer to us. If we were to try and get any closer, we're just going to disturb the deer and affect their behaviour, which is obviously what we don't want to do. So rather than do that, we've sort of clumped up here in some bracken. There's just a gap between them. We're just going to wait here and see what happens, and just endure the day really. I'll get some film if I can, and also get some images, and I'll put those up as well. So I'll get back to you in a minute when we get some action kicking off. There's a couple of big males. There's one down right in front of us, and there's a big male up on the top there, and they're calling across to each other at the minute. And now there appears to be a smaller one in between, so yeah, I'm not sure whether it's at the stage where it's going to kick off or not, but as I say, we'll just wait here, keep out of the way, and hopefully they'll come across in front of us. Right, I'm going to keep my voice down still because these deer are quite close. They're actually on the top of the ridge, but as I've just found to my cost, they are also coming closer than that. Where we're situated here, we're in a bit of a dip, and I could see to the left of us, I mean, it's no further forward, but it sort of rises slightly, and I was saying to Leia it would be handy if we could get just a little bit further up that way so that we're slightly higher, get more of a shot of the deer. So being in this dip, it's quite difficult. So I said, well, I'll go and see what it looks like. So I sort of bent double and went sideways across the hillside here, only for about probably 20 yards I got, and the next minute I know that there's a big male deer and he's looking in my direction, so I just stopped still where I was, and over the next sort of 10 minutes this deer just never took his eyes off me, and gradually walked closer and closer to me, and I was taking shots all the time, but I was, obviously from my point of view, I don't really want to let them know that we're here at all. That's a big win for me if we can get away with taking shots and they don't even know we're even taking shots. So I was a little bit disappointed that he'd clocked me, to be fair, and I just stayed completely still. I've got silent shutter on this Sony, so I was taking shot after shot, and he was getting closer and closer. I'm talking, you know, just walking towards me very, very slowly. He obviously knew there was something there, but he wasn't sure what it was, whether it was another male, a female, or whatever. And I only really started to get a little bit concerned when I started winding the 600mm lens in, and I got down to about 400mm, and then he got sort of to a certain distance and then started to skirt around me, and he went actually on the higher land that I was going to try and make towards. He skirted towards that, and then as soon as he saw it was a person, he was off. But yeah, it was a little bit. So what I've done, I've made my way back down here to this. I think we're going to stay here, but just simply because the other thing that we've noticed is, although that these males on the top here, this long grass because it's in a bit of a dip, and we're even further down, we can't actually see into the grass. And we noticed a big male come out of this grass that we didn't even realise were there, and made his way up to the top. So we're really not even sure what's in this grass in front of us. So yeah, we're just going to stay here, and we're out of the way. There's nothing coming down to this level, so you know, and we've got actually the wind in our face, so anything behind us is going to smell us anyway and go round us, but I don't think there's anything there. The pathway we came up this morning is so flipping difficult that you'd have to be insane to try and come up it. So I think we're quite safe behind us. Wind's in our face, so there's a chance that these deer will come closer to us anyway on their own, as they're manoeuvring around between each other as the males gesture and shout towards each other. So we'll stay right here, and hopefully we'll get some more images and footage as the day goes on. Right, the sun's getting really high now, so we've decided to come down and I think call it a day. What I would say to those of you that are thinking of coming to Big Moor is that just to remember that it's not a deer park. So, you know, in a deer park you've got deer that are really used to people being around them all the time. Here these animals are truly wild, and what you don't want to do is, one, disturb their natural behaviour, and two, get in the way really and cause them any stress or potentially put yourself in danger. So like what we've done today is what we've tried to do is get to a position where potentially we've got a chance to get some shots of the deer, but we're not in their direct path. So where we've been this morning, basically we've had deer moving across in front of us, but not coming down towards us, and we've not been in their direct path. You know, what you don't want to do is get into a position where you're, you know, going to affect their behaviour or in a way that is, you know, potentially dangerous for them. So as I was saying, if you inadvertently push a smaller stag into a larger stag, then what you could end up getting is a situation where there's a fight which is not even, and you know, it could have serious consequences. Because obviously what these deer do is they're all weighing each other up. The smaller deer, you know, will not go into a larger deer's territory and cause it any problem if they think that, you know, they're going to get damaged or killed in it, you know. So basically that's a decision that they're making. But if you inadvertently push groups of deer to each other, you could affect that decision, and yeah, it could have serious consequences. And as I say, these are wild, so you don't want to get in their way, because, you know, potentially it could have be a serious situation for yourself. So yeah, try and get into a position where, you know, you've got a chance of getting some shots, but you're not affecting their behaviour. And you know, if you think you're in a situation where potentially you are going to be in the way, it's always better to quietly retreat out of the way and leave it at that. Right, I hope you've enjoyed this week's video. We've really enjoyed being here this morning. It's been really fascinating watching these deer again, and it just doesn't seem like a year since we were doing it last time, but hopefully I'm going to be able to get up here again for another couple of sessions watching the deer as the rut continues. But yeah, if you've enjoyed this video, then please, as always, give it a thumbs up. It does help the channel grow. And for those of you that have not subscribed to the channel, please think about subscribing. Again, it helps the channel grow and helps me to keep putting out content on a weekly basis. Anyway, with that in mind, I'll see you next week for another one. Have a great week. Bye.